Thank you. Thanks for letting me speak today. I have to admit, I was a little intimidated when I've seen the people that have actually been on this stage for Lunch with a Leader, and then hearing that I'm the first female to speak. Wow! Oh, okay. But it's International Women's Month, so kind of worked out well. Okay. So just a little bit about me. I am a wife, a mother, a worshiper of the Lord, everything that I am. And I happen to be the market president for iHeartMedia, along with the regional director for iHeart's Political and Government Affairs and Total Traffic and Weather Network. I wasn't even going to say any of that, but when I was practicing this yesterday, my daughter was like, "Why do you discount that?" And I discount it, and honestly, I've discounted it all my life, because that's what I do. It's not who I am. And as a leader, when you get those things mixed up, that your title is what defines you and who you are, then you are going to have a really tough uphill battle. But at the same time, we have to acknowledge and appreciate the accomplishments that we've had. And so I am thankful that God has given me this career and also has given me the platform to be able to speak to people. One second. In preparing for today's event, I thought, what can I give you guys? What takeaways can I give you that's going to give you some help and insight into the next chapter of your lives? So again, I'm in radio and media sales, and we speak in 15, 30, and 60-second increments. And so when Pastor Jamie said that you can talk for 45 minutes, I'm like, we're going to shoot for 30 and be good with that. So at the end of our time together, I hope you come away with some key insights that's going to help you in 2021. March 17th, 2020 is literally cemented in my brain. That's the last date that my staff and I were actually in the office. That morning, I received a call that one of my employees had the virus. The virus. Honestly, I really didn't even know the magnitude of this. From January 1st to March 17th, I had been running full steam ahead. I heard about this coronavirus, but it's not going to affect us. It's not going to affect us. March 5th, 2020, was the first case of the virus that hit Colorado, and that actually hit in El Paso County. That same call was resounding across the country. Our company had never been a remote operation. And in a matter of days, iHeart went to remote operations. Thousands, we have over 3,000 employees, started working from home. Laptops, Microsoft Teams, VPN, IT support, you name it. We had to get it done, and we had to get it done fast. But we still had to broadcast. 850 radio stations in over 160 markets. We went remote. Our engineers had to get equipment out across the country, train on-air people who are used to pushing a button, actually how to set up all this equipment, and hope and pray that it worked. We had on-air personalities broadcasting from their bedrooms, from their bathrooms, from their closets, wherever they could set up. We learned that it was A-okay for your 6-year-old to join the on-air broadcast needing breakfast. Because you're the mom, you're the dad, you're not some on-air personality. They could care less until the Disney on Ice tickets came, right? We learned how to juggle being a full-time employee and a homeschool mom. Molly experiences that every moment of the day. And it was also okay for your dog to join your Zoom call at the most inappropriate times. We have to have it is mandatory that we have our videos on. And last week, in the middle of this call, my dog comes in and starts literally licking my face. And I'm trying to get him off. And then I'm seeing everybody else enjoying my humiliated moment. But this is one of the good things that did come out of 2020. If you want to pop that first slide, that's Uncle. That's our golden doodle. And yes, his name is Uncle. We love the name. This is how Uncle looked like when we picked him up, and this is him now. He's 45 pounds of joy. And when he stands up, he's taller than me. I'm 5'1.5". But wow, we made it. In a week and a half, it's going to be March 17th, 2021. I think that deserves a round of applause. How many Enneagrammers do we have in here? Raise your hand. Nice. If you scroll down on your notes, I put in a link to a free version. If you haven't taken the Enneagram test, I encourage you to take it. I had my team take it. I had my family take it. Because when you know how your employees think, what they go to when they're in a pinch, what makes them tick, it's truly eye-opening. So of the Enneagrammers, how many 8s do we have in here today? Nice. I'm an 8. Yeah? So as an 8, for you non-Enneagrammers, that means I'm a challenger. I'm a fixer. And being an 8 has helped me just to go straight into 2020. But as an 8, I always have a plan. Always. I have a roadmap of where I'm going to lead my team. That plan went out the windows, and I started looking for advice everywhere. Books, articles, anything I could get my hands on to navigate this crazy world. And one book that was instrumental to me in 2020 was called Canoeing the Mountains, Christian Leadership in Uncharted Territory by Todd Bolsinger. I encourage you to get this book. I came across this book because our pastor referenced it during a sermon series. And so many points that he was making pertained not only to my Christian life, but to my work life, to how I was going to lead my team. Well, I already had my phone out because my phone is my Bible and where I take my notes. So, of course, I jumped on Amazon right then and there and purchased the book. And don't look at me like that because you guys do the same thing, and you might be making your grocery list right now. Yeah, that's okay. The book weaves the story of Lewis and Clark. President Thomas Jefferson handpicked and commissioned these two men to lead the core discovery to find the Northwest Passage. For 300 years, explorers were searching for this water route that would connect the Pacific Ocean to the Mississippi River. Get that right, Morgan? Right? It was believed whoever controlled the water route would also control vast amounts of profits and power. Finally, Meriwether Lewis, 15 months into the expedition, thought he had finally arrived. Bolsinger writes, Lewis believed that he would walk up a hill, look down a gentle slope, and that would take his men a half day to cross with their canoes on their backs, and they would see the Columbia River. He could not have been more disappointed. What Lewis actually discovered was that 300 years of experts had been completely and utterly wrong. In front of him was not a gentle slope down a navigable river leading to the Pacific Ocean, but the Rocky Mountains. Stretching for miles after miles, as far as the eyes could see, was one set of peaks after another. This, my friends, in a nutshell, was the story of our lives last year, right? Every perfectly laid out plan we had went out. Everything that we knew to do no longer worked. And frankly, what worked one day did not work the next day. Everything was done. The world in front of us was changing by the minute. My SWAT plan, my ghost plan, my implementation plans, worthless. It was hard to keep up. So what do you do when you only have a canoe, but now you need hiking boots? How do you navigate? Well, 2020 insight number 1, you have to be adaptable. Lewis had canoes. He had to get rid of the canoes and get some new gear. He had to get new guides that were experienced to take him over the Rocky Mountains. He had to find horses. He had to get a whole new mindset. He had to put his dreams aside. He had to fill in the blank. And talking about the dreams, You know, he had dreams of grandeur, that his name was going to be written, you know, in the annals of history of this great Northwest Passage. And yet it was like, I discovered the Rocky Mountains. Not too shabby too, right? On March 17th, I had to get rid of my canoes. As a leader, what worked in the past does not work now. So how are you going to change and adapt? For me, I had to learn to lead a team remotely. How to keep my culture that I work so hard intact. How to keep my on-air team motivated and energetic to actually turn on the mic when their world was crumbling and the world around them was crumbling. How to help my salespeople when I watch their commissions dwindle. Also our advertisers. How do we help them? Well, as an 8, I work best with a plan, so I turn to the one who gives the best plan, my Father God. I love the book of Nehemiah. At every turn, when Nehemiah was up against an obstacle, he paused, he prayed, and he asked God for an idea. As leaders, being adaptable means being willing to pause, to pray, to become a learner of new ideas. Part of asking for an idea is being willing to give up your past ideas and adapt. My question to you is, how often this year did you just pause and ask God for an idea? Because the world was going crazy. We didn't have time to pause. The best thing you could do in the world of chaos is pause. Can you imagine if Lewis and Clark said, I'm going to keep these canoes, and they trudged them over the Rocky Mountains? They're not going to get very far. You're going to burn out. You have to burn your canoes. They had to get rid of their canoes and adapt to a new way. I'm encouraging you, think of the canoes that you have on your back right now that you need to burn. They're holding you back. Insight number 2, be adventuresome. Lewis and Clark still had a job to do. Just because the Rocky Mountains were in front of them, that didn't mean that their journey ended. Really, it just begun. Just because 2020 happened doesn't mean we can quit. It means there's an opportunity to try something new, something different, to be adventuresome. I challenged my team to come up with new areas that we could focus on to help our community as well as drive revenue. Because in the midst of all of this, I still had to drive revenue for my company, for my team. We came up with the SoCo Delivers program, which helped local restaurants. We made an exhaustive list of every restaurant you could go to, what they had to offer. Is it curbside? Is it pickup? What is it? We did the No Strings Attached program, literally giving away thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to advertisers during the months of April and May. And in turn, when they started seeing those results and it started helping them in Q3, we reaped the benefit. But we were first good stewards to them, to the people in our community. What about the Lemonade Relief Program that we did? This, by far, was the most fun. We gave away $1,000 to a young entrepreneur that could not host their lemonade stand because of COVID. So we had them enter to win and tell us why they should win this $1,000. And this young man that won it, his mom said, "Thank you so much. Our computer is terrible, and it's horrible every time during the remote learning. This is going to set him up for the fall." How exciting is that? Because we're adventuresome. We hosted concerts, virtual concerts, raised money for first responders. I could literally go on and on and on. And iHeart jumped deep into podcasting in the middle of this pandemic, and we actually became the #1 distributor and curator of podcasts. I love podcasts. That's an escape. We needed to escape in 2020. Now the challenge is how to keep that spirit of adventure alive and well in 2021. That's my challenge to you. How can you do something, breaks down all the walls, breaks down everything, and be adventuresome with your team? 2020 insight number 3. It's okay to be real, and it's okay to hurt. Imagine with me this team huddle with Lewis and Clark. Hey, guys. I know you're probably thinking this adventure is about over. But I just got some news, some information I need to share with you that just over the hill are the biggest mountains I've ever seen in my entire life, and there's snow on top of them. What are we going to do? This is the way I read the Bible, too, by the way. Actually, historian geographer John Logan Allen said, the moment atop Lemhi Pass was when the geography of hope gave way to the geography of reality. Wow. Truer words have never been said about 2020. The geography of hope gave way to the geography of reality. The geography, the roadmap that we had been using was worthless, and now the reality was sinking in. Many members of my team were furloughed or laid off. Some of these people I had worked with for over 30 years. I know you thought I was 21, I'm not. The reality of 2020 was big, and it hurt. I love my team. I really love my team. In Ezekiel and in Jeremiah, it says, those that lead must be good, fair, and especially caring leaders. Leaders after God's own heart, who put the well-being of the people before their own, who are trustworthy and indeed love the people they serve. Being an 8, and when you do the Enneagram, you'll get this, my wing, my strong wing, is a 7. A poorly functioning 8 can be a driver that runs over people. An 8 that is healthy knows what it is to lead with compassion because they're pulling in this other side of their personality that sees people, not just their challenging, fixing goals, but they see the people. So it's okay to be a compassionate leader. And actually, the word says you need to be a compassionate leader. Those decisions that I had to make in letting people go, I knew personally how their lives were going to be affected. I allowed myself to feel the pain of what was happening so that I could lead my employees one more time through a difficult time in their lives. I want you to really hear this. I allowed myself to feel the pain of what was happening so that I could lead my employees one more time through a difficult time in their lives. I've been at weddings, I've been at births, I've been helping people through a divorce, I've helped people when they're buying their first home. I've been with people when they were losing their home. And now when they're losing their job, I had a script that I had to follow. But these are people that are losing their job in the middle of a pandemic. Is there another job to be found quickly? I don't think so. If I was not a compassionate leader at that time, I could have checked the box, hit submit, and their number would have been extinguished in our system. But to be able to walk them through and let them see that, hey, I'm with you. I'm still with you. I just last week texted one of my employees, ex-employees. It's like, hey, I heard about this position. I'll shoot off a letter of reference to you right now. We have to not just be a leader when it's good or meaningful for our profits. We have to be a leader through it all. And now more than ever, leaders, you need to show the people you lead that you love them and you have an ear to hear them. Sometimes they're not going to want to hear what you have to say. Hear them out and give them a plan. Give them some direction and let them know you are there with them in the trenches. So 2021 insight, unprecedented. So I had this epiphany recently, and that's why I'm calling it a 2021 insight. And I have to preface this by saying my epiphanies are pretty elementary. They're usually pretty much a duh kind of moment. I remember by the end of May, I told my team, I never want to hear the word unprecedented or new normal. Don't say that. Please never say that. You will see that other side of the 8, okay? I'm just kidding. But how many times did we hear that word last year? Hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, too many times. By definition, however, the word unprecedented means never done or known before. So here's my epiphany. You're going to be shocked. Everything we've ever done in our lives has been unprecedented. At one time or another, it has been unprecedented. Think about it. Did you walk before you walked? Did you talk before you talked? Did you know what it was like to give birth before you gave birth? Dad, how about the first time you held your child? And I mean your child, not somebody else's. That's unprecedented. What about driving a car? Remember that unprecedented moment? And did you have a legal driver's license? Yeah, right? What about the first time you let go of an employee? That was an ugly unprecedented. Or graduating high school, college, achieving your MBA. What about Pastor Jamie and all the other Pastor Russ, the first time you had to host a virtual service? Was anybody going to be there on the other side? And you are literally preaching to your sound guy? That's unprecedented. But now, because of that unprecedented moment, the Word of God is being flooded through the entire world. That's unprecedented. There are many unprecedented moments in 2020 that were negative. We lost people. I have family members who have been affected by COVID. That unprecedented moment is terrible. But there are equally as many great unprecedented moments to celebrate and acknowledge that you accomplished something that you've never done or known before. It's all in your perspective. Are you going to let an unprecedented thing that happened to the world stop you? I'm an 8. No. We're going to figure this out. And I hope I didn't spit on you. But we're going to figure this out. Because every day we're going into this battle not on our own. We're seriously like the Verizon guy, but we have a whole host of people that are behind us. We have the Holy Spirit that is giving us wisdom and direction as we go. The unprecedented things in your life that were negative, burn them along with your canoes. Burn them. Make a list and just torch it. And put on some hiking boots. Because there's a whole lot of new adventure to happen, but you need some different things to wear to get over those hills, right? I want to leave you with some verses that have helped me through 2020. And I have some ladies that I dialogue with almost on the daily, and I shot them this email or text the other day. But it's Psalm 62, 5-8. I'm standing in absolute stillness, silent before the one I love, waiting as long as it takes for him to rescue me. Only God is my Savior, and he will not fail me, for he alone is my safe place. His wraparound presence always protects me as my champion defender. There's no risk of failure with God. So why would I let worry paralyze me? I'm going to stop there right now. How many nights did worry paralyze you? It did me. I got to be honest. But let me back that up. There's no risk of failure with God. So why would I let worry paralyze me? Even when troubles, even when 2020 multiply around me. God's glory is all around me. His wraparound presence is all I need. For the Lord is my Savior, my hero, and my life-giving strength. Join me, everyone. Trust only in God in every moment. Tell him all your troubles and pour out your heart longings to him. Believe me when I tell you, he will help you. Pause in his presence. That's all I got.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to move to an opportunity for Q&A. If you have any questions, we'd love to hear that, or Jessica is going to answer them as best she can. So feel free to, if you want, I can run around with the mic, or you can just shout them out and she'll repeat them for everybody if that works better, because sometimes running around with this mic gets crazy. But any questions? Of course. You're my go-to.
Of course, Jamie. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
First one, two-part, I guess. First, a comment. Thank you for sharing about leading with love and empathy, as you so beautifully put it. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Second part, what is your adventurous flames now? What's burning on your heart as far as radio and future, and what's kind of stirring your fires? Are those same passions you had early on with radio, are they rekindled now? And just a little bit of how you got into it and where you're taking it.
Sure. I got put on academic probation. And my parents said, you got to get a job. And so I did. And I started at a small daytime Christian radio station, 800 AM KLTT, on air. And I loved that. I would get up at 4 a.m. and get to the station and put the news together. And I did that until, do you remember John Hinckley? And I thought my mic was off, to be honest with you. And he was petitioning to come home for Easter. And I thought my mic was off. I'll say that one more time. And the on-air guy said, hey, Jess, his name is Roger Chapman. He's been around a long time. He said, hey, Jess, what do you think about John Hinckley coming home? And I said, I don't care, as long as he doesn't come to my house. And he goes, your mic's on. That was my last day on air. Yeah. And then from there, I moved into, that was way inappropriate to say, and I feel bad now. I moved into other operational ends of radio, and then moved into sales and marketing and promotions. I loved it because it gave me the flexibility to be with my kids. My kids were running through the station all the time. I actually lost my son once, and he was hiding underneath my general manager's desk. And he goes, Jess, did you lose something? I'm like, I can't find Isaac. He goes, yeah, he's under my desk playing cars. Yeah, that was a good day for me. I had a compassionate leader, though. But where I see radio going is, not to give an iHeart pitch, but that's what I love about iHeart, is because we want to be that companion wherever you are and however you want to consume us, whether it's on a laptop, on your phones, on your watch, everywhere, your television. That's what we want to be. And we also saw within 2020 the need to make sure that we embrace everything digitally. And so the rise in podcasting really, came very, very prevalent. I'm excited about audio. Think about it. When you're having a bad day, the first thing you do is turn on music. When you're having a good day, the first thing you do is turn on music and you run around. When you need to get the latest and greatest here in Denver, you turn on KOA and get up to the minute information. So I am hugely passionate about what I do. And even more so than that, because I know through my career, I see a small business. There's a gentleman, it's called Art of Granite. If you need granite, you should go to him. Small gentleman who came to the U.S. that had a dream, and we were able to help him. And now he has a very healthy business. We can tell that over and over and over, right? How we help people. That answer? Kind of long? More than 60 seconds?
Any other questions? Awesome. Thanks, Rob.
Hi.
Oh, thank you. And I have come out of the media world, worked for Radio Disney for several years.
Oh, of course.
But I wanted to know, how did you find the balance of wife, mother, leader, and when did you find that balance?
Some days I do it better than other days. 2020 was a year of imbalance. There are many times where my family would come in and literally shut my laptop down. And that balance comes from having people around you that you trust to speak life into you. As a leader, when you try only to do it by yourself, you have this much of your capabilities. So you have to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people. Also, with my career, I did hand choose this career because part of me wanted to be a stay-home mom, but and this is going to sound very weird to people, but I knew I would be a not as good stay-at-home mom as a working mom. And I know, men, that may sound a little odd to you, that a woman would not want to be 100% home with her kids. I love my children, and I raised 2 great kids, but I also knew that who I am needed that balance too, of working, providing, and mentoring and nurturing my family. So various times in my life, I balanced it better, but I didn't miss a soccer game. I didn't miss a baseball game. I made sure that my kids, if they were sick, they were my priority. My husband, we've been married 35 years, he's my priority. Because again, at the beginning of my talk, when you wrap yourself up in a title and you lose your identity and that title goes away, everything goes away. So you have to keep that intact. You have to keep your core of who you are. Did that answer? Thank you.
Thanks. Being a Christian woman in the radio, media, and television, and so on and so forth, how hard is it for you to profess your Christianity and your love for Jesus with your coworkers and keeping the government and everything out of your face?
It's the way you live your life. It's a consistency. I don't think I've ever said to someone, I'm a Christian. I don't think I've ever said that. I think the way that I lead, the way that I speak to my employees, I think the way that I coach and mentor them, they say, well, she's a little different. Sometimes way different. But that, what is it? Francis Assisi says, if you have to use words, I have never, and I totally butchered that, but I have never had to use words because when someone needs me, I'm there to lead them. I think if you, again, we live in the United States of America where you do have boundaries that you can't cross. But on the other side, you better believe I have a whole list of my employees that every day I pray over. And it's not been unknown because my family's come in there with me where we lay hands on every desk and every chair and pray over every employee. So that's what I do.
Hello. Could you speak to maybe some keys or things that you did as far as, you talked about with your employees being at births, at weddings, in those moments with them. So obviously your relationship went a lot deeper than employee-employer. So how did you maintain that authority role, respectful relationship, but also being friends with them? How did you balance that?
That's a very good question. And I think it goes back to what your question was. You just who you are. I sang at Molly and Jake's wedding. And so did Alfred, my husband. Because they know who I am. And one of my employees, she called me when she was in labor and said, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, I don't either. You got a doctor there, right? You know? But we were there right afterwards because she didn't have a mom. And actually, this may answer your question too. She wrote, because it's International Women's Month and we're doing a lot on our stations about that, she wrote a tribute about me. And she said, this really gets me choked up. She said, Jessica is one of the strongest leaders that I know. But what I love about her is that she has a compassionate side, and also she can mother without smother. And so if they know you and you're in the trenches with your people, then it's just a natural that you are going to develop a friendship. And it's okay, because then when you have to have a tough conversation, it's so much easier to do because the trust is there. When you're a leader at this level that doesn't know your people, and then you have to deliver something, man, first of all, there's no trust there. So then what you say is going to come from a defensive mode. They're going to hear it defensively. But when they know, it's like, hey, she's saying this because she's looking out for my best interest, then they trust you. Yeah.
The most amazing leader, manager I have ever had. And, you know, to your question, like, she is kind of a solutions provider. Like, she's your friend, she wants you to work hard, but she's also there to help you come up with the strategy and the way to, like, you know, really guide you so you have the success. And she's amazing.
Thanks, Mo.
You have a question? No. You're good? Okay. Any other questions? What about, you asked a question on the form there, which was, and we got time for maybe just a couple shout outs here, maybe in terms of unprecedented things that we've done. And anybody want to share? Because I think I loved your clarity on that word, because everyone's like, well, in 1918, the Spanish flu,
Right.
you know, this is an unprecedented. Well, yeah, it is for me. I wasn't here in 1918, you know. So, what unprecedented things? Anybody want to shout? I mean, I know for me, I started fly fishing for the first time ever. That was
Nice.
unprecedented. It was fun. Anybody else? Work, personal related?
I hope it's okay that I share this. My husband's not here, but so it's,
It's fine.
I mean, it's a good thing.
It's just being recorded.
So I think we've all had just some challenges this year, including our family. And my husband lost his job at the beginning, back in March. And it caused us to just, I don't know, examine our relationship a little bit differently. He didn't really share as much. He lost his mom 2 years ago. And after that, he just kind of, I don't know, he's always been kind of a quiet guy, but shut down a little bit. And so this job loss really, I don't know, just caused us to have kind of more of a challenge. And then so as a result, he just decided to start going to counseling. And he's been going once a week. And I've seen this incredible transformation with him. And he is opening up to me, and we're having great conversations. And it's just like, a negative has turned into a positive.
That's
So it's
awesome.
been good.
That is awesome.
Anybody else? Yeah, Aaron.
So we have, we run a nonprofit that supports Africa and Uganda. Our founder's right here. So anyway, we have our annual fundraiser every year, and it was scheduled for October, and not really knowing what was going to happen in October, we decided to change it to an outdoor event with drive-up access.
very cool.
And yeah, we changed it to August because we had kept hearing that fall was going to shut down even more. And we would have not even had a fundraiser, and we ended up raising almost $500,000. in
That's
that event,
huge.
so.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Last one, anybody? Rob.
had always enjoyed doing service projects and volunteering, clothing and all that, but exactly about a year ago, jumped in a food bank, a couple food banks, and it just kind of grabbed a hold of me to where it just like pulled my heart right out of me, and led to today being nominated for a community impact award in Parker
Wow.
and all that. But I guess the unprecedented piece is I'd always done other service projects, but the food bank got in my blood and took a hold of me now, and now it's almost like taking on a life of its own. So
Nice.